Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Mesoteric on our long-running series, the Unported Playlist, where I take a look at some of my favorite unported arcade games of all time. And today we're playing Mystic Warriors from Konami, which is basically just the spiritual successor to Sunset Riders, and it is an absolutely incredible run-and-gun hybrid beat-em-up game. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But once you select your character, one of your members of your ninja squad is kidnapped, and that basically starts the entire game. And if you've never played Sunset Riders before, this game is basically the exact same game, except it's a completely different theme. Sunset Riders was a western, this is a ninja game, but it is spectacular. Konami knew this genre better than almost anybody else. Between beat-em-ups and run-and-guns, Konami had some of the best arcade games going at the time, and this game is no different. And it's shocking this never got a home console port. To the point of recording this video, it has never been released on any home system whatsoever, which is just such a disappointment because this is one of Konami's best games in my opinion. And I love in the first level you even go through a drive-through movie and you get a little bit of a preview for Sunset Riders. This game was made by the same team, but I love that this flammable gas truck comes in to start the boss battle. All of the boss battles are quite exciting, they all have really nice intros, and the game has a fun sense of humor as well that you will see in a little bit. But I just love this sort of genre. It's not quite a beat 'em up, even though you can hit people with your hair with this character. It is that run and gun style of game a la Contra. But Konami did such a good job with that genre, it is no surprise that Mystic Warriors is so good. And all of the bosses are definitely pattern based. Once you understand their patterns, you can almost get through every single boss fight without taking a single hit. What I love so much about this game and Konami in general of this era is just how diverse the gameplay is. First we're in a city fighting somebody at a drive-thru movie theater. Now we are at a ski resort and we can use that ski lift to hold on to and scoot across the area. And of course you're not going to get to a ski area and not have a downhill chase sequence, and Mystic Warriors has such a great job of doing that. All of these snowboarders coming in, throwing these ninja stars at them and trying to manage all of that screen space at once while also getting power-ups is a huge thing, because the power-ups in this game are basically crucial. You don't want to just be throwing around one ninja star at a time. You can get 3 or different combinations of those, and that's going to make your job so much easier. But I love that this dude just comes in on a mobile rocket with what looks like bicycle handlebars, and that is your entire match against him. Definitely requires a lot of platforming finesse though. You need to make some jumps in the boss fights in this game that are near perfect, and you'll see there I quite shorted it. But if you jump at just the right time, you can bypass all of those bombs and get through without taking a hit. So your timing on your inputs is going to be crucially important while you're managing trying to actually be on the offense against the bosses. And I love that he crashed and the parts of his ship just rained down. Well, one of the best parts about Mystic Warriors is that it constantly gives you something new to look at and do. We just went from a ski resort to an underground cave, and now we can go underwater and fight these scuba divers with these spearfishing guns. It's just a ton of fun to see how this game's constantly pivoting. A hole breaks through the wall, and now we have a boss battle in this cavern. Apparently our ninjas can just hold their breath for as long as they want. You're not getting any Sonic the Hedgehog death music here. He just must have an iron lung in there. But I love the cartoony nature of the graphics as well. They are so colorful. This boss battle here kind of looks like Elvis in goggles in this ship. It's just a charming game to look at as well, and that's another thing Konami did such a good job of. All of their art, all of what they use for the color space in the game, their colorways, and just create a universe that is spectacular. Konami was on fire in this generation of games. Pretty much everything they put out into arcades, 2D, beat 'em up, run and gun or otherwise, was just an absolute blast. And of course, now that we're out of the cave, we're riding this log down a river. And I love how you have to manage what's above you and below you. It's basically a 360-degree game that you need to play, but it exists in a complete 2D screen space. But I love that about this game. It's constantly giving you something to manage. Where are the characters? Where are you in the screen space? What's above you and what's below you? You'll see every once in a while you get some extra energy as well. But this game has a spectacular soundtrack, so I'm going to let you listen to it for like 45 seconds and I'll come back and talk about Mystic Warriors. But enjoy!
My electricity will scorch you! Hixon!
Just another classic Konami soundtrack that kind of mixes 80s action movie vibes with that Far Eastern flair, and I love that Terminator head popping out of the ship, and when you beat the boss you get to grab him by the throat and interrogate him to find out what your friend is doing after they were kidnapped. And now that we've moved on from that wrath sequence, we have more of a on-the-ground running gun aspect where you need to deal with the verticality of the stages. Sometimes your path is completely blocked and you need to knock these boards down while making sure you're not also getting hit by projectiles in the screen. And I will say, for the most part, this game is relatively fair. It's definitely on a scale of 1 to 5, only like a 3 for taking your quarters. Most of the mistakes you make are going to be mistakes that you caused yourself. It is quite rare that the screen fills itself completely with bullets to the point in time where you feel like you didn't have any choice. You'll see I took a continue there. Sometimes you do get stuck in a little bit of a bad spot because it is still an arcade game. It definitely still wants your quarters. But I love how many enemies it throws at you at the same time, and how those enemies have these primary colors that really pop against that background. They did such a good job of being able to identify both the projectiles and the enemies in this game. You always know what you're supposed to be doing next and what's attacking you and where those bullets are on screen. I hate when a bullet is not the right color and blends into the background, and Konami was fair here, and you can just take a hit and tank it so you can have that barrel just completely explode that dude on top. But again, some of the boss battles in this game are just absolutely epic. We get on this elevator here and we go ahead and ride up, and you're going to see a giant, what looks like kind of a gorilla robot on the screen. It's just so wild and so fun, and you're going to find out that your kidnapped friend is stuck in there, and it looks like there's a brain in the back that might just be wiring, but it kind of pulses like it's organic, so maybe this is a gigantic ape's brain stuck in a robot body, because you do go to Skull Island at one point in time, and if that doesn't make you think of King Kong, it 100% should. I'm not saying the designers and developers were inspired by King Kong, but when you got a big monkey in Skull Island, I'm kind of saying maybe they were. But now we move on to a minecart stage, which makes you think of Donkey Kong, and the monkey themes are still going here, even though this game is definitely earlier than Donkey Kong Country would be. But again, it's just such a fun game to see in motion. I love all the colors, that deep vibrant pink that goes into almost golden hour orange and red, and the green with the yellow opponents. They did such a good job of being able to visually demarcate what's going on in this game. It is a masterclass in that style of design. But spoiler alert, even though it's not much of a spoiler, the game's got a story, but it isn't that fundamental. The person that you've been trying to save this entire time is going to sacrifice themselves for you, because you're trapped in this train's tractor beam, and she is going to go ahead and destroy that boiler so you can continue on along your journey. It is a nice moment in the game, and it kind of gives you a little more motivation, but I love that the train is a mechanical skull. You're going to be seeing a lot of skulls in this game. It is just the theme, but again, it's an awesome boss battle. It requires you to move left and right and really find the openings in those projectiles. Almost feels like a shmup at certain points in time, except obviously you were on foot. I'm actually surprised they didn't put a shmup level in this game. That would have made sense, but I love that the train is going to slightly coast in here on the brakes, and you'll see where that engine destroyed itself, and now we have to jump onto a plane to get to Skull Island itself. You jump on and all of a sudden you take off, and you're going to have a mid-air ninja battle on a plane. You can't beat that. Konami gave you so much to do in this game and so many different variations. It is an absolute blast to play, and it is so much fun, especially if you have a second player. This game gets hyper intense. Your friend can take one side of the screen, you can take the other, and you have an absolute good time. And for some strange reason, these planes just start catching on fire. But again, one more taste of the soundtrack because it is spectacular. 30 seconds or so, and I will be right back. Enjoy. Again, just an absolute blast of a soundtrack, and it's going to be another epic boss fight. Now we have 3 different people to deal with. If you've never played Mystic Warriors before, you 100% owe it to yourself to do so. And leave me a comment down below, tell me if you've played it, if you plan on playing it, if this is the first time you heard of it, because I always love hearing comments when people say I've never heard of a game and now they have to play it. I will say every once in a while it is very easy to cheese a boss. You can get this guy jumping back and forth, and as long as you get behind that ball and chain of his, it's a free win. And I love that he blows off of that plane, and this plane, again, apparently planes just love catching fire in this game inexplicably, crashes to earth, and we jump down with our ninja parachute. It's such a nice way to get to the final level of the game, and as we coast in here and that sheet kind of just drifts off, it is so much fun. You can even see the plane in the background starting to crash into that city, and you'll see the explosion right there. Mystic Warriors is just amazing. It's a spiritual sequel to Sunset Riders, another awesome game from Konami, and it's a game with friends that gets even better. But short of that, that is the game. It's a 10 out of 10 in my book. Konami can do no wrong in this generation, and Mystic Warrior shows. I'll have another episode of Unported Playlist this time next week, and I'll have videos throughout the week as well. But trust me, if you've never played this game before and it looks even remotely interesting, you 100% have to check it out. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.